What I'm about to show you is beyond shocking. A National Security Council advisor caught on undercover video has confirmed our worst fears about the supposed leader of the free world. Henry Appel, who works at the Intelligence Programs Directorate, was caught saying that Joe Biden is dead. He can't say a sentence. Now, this is not just some random staffer. This is a former spy currently working inside the White House national security apparatus. Meanwhile, reports are surfacing that Biden's handlers are already discussing preemptive pardons for the deep state operatives like Schiff and Fauci before Trump's return to power. James O'Keefe striking again. And while Biden's cognitive decline is on full display, you don't have to accept mental fog as your destiny. Science shows that proper collagen supplementation can support not just skin health, but brain function too. That's why I trust BioTrust Premium Collagen Complex. Unlike the cognitive chaos in the White House, this advanced formula helps maintain mental clarity and focus. Visit healthwithgary.com for an exclusive 51% discount plus free VIP health coaching for life. Don't let age slow you down. Take control of your mental sharpness today with the collagen supplement I personally trust. We thank our sponsors for making this show possible. Okay, who can forget when Tucker Carlson said this?
I think that the current administration is very obviously incompetent and the president is senile. That's not an attack. Everyone knows it. It is now been confirmed, I would say, this week in the report that you're all familiar with. But and that's very sad. But it had sort of nothing to do with the interview. I wanted to interview Putin because he's the leader of a country that the U.S. government is sort of at war with, though not in a declared way. I think that
we all know Joe Biden's cognitive decline has been accelerating for quite some time. I mean, here's this from the Daily Wire from July.
Of the word. You noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Now, they posted this, but this is actually NBC.
Oh, yeah. I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemino dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordotically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of en bloc turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold hypophonia. A small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall.
Here are some of the symptoms from Parkinson's. We just had him up there on the screen. If we can put him back. What about the movement? Some people have pointed out the way he walks. Sometimes it's not very fast, small steps. Is that something that is common in people who are battling a disease like Parkinson's?
Yeah, it's a hallmark. Shuffling gait, we call that, so little steps. Loss of arm swing from the rigidity when we walk.
Now, I just want to point out, you see the lower third there, the graphic on the screen? This was back when that Parkinson's expert that came out visited the White House 8 times. I remember clearly reporting on this.
Have a nice cadence. You notice he doesn't really swing his arms. And en bloc turning, meaning he kind of pivots around his foot. If you said, "Hey, President Biden," he wouldn't go like this. So, yeah.
But I also know.
So, and then, okay, here's this. Jill Stein. Yes, absolutely. A former medical doctor. She says the signs President Biden has early Alzheimer's.
You don't need.
It just seems like he is not put out there to the press that often.
Oh, yeah. I mean, excuse me. You don't need a report from insiders, to see that he's more than slipping. He's long since fallen flat. The way that he delivered, for example, his very important so-called Israeli peace plan, which the Israelis have yet to accept. The way he delivered that, was really kind of shocking. It was so subdued. It was as if, it was as if he was talking about a funeral or some small, insignificant thing. And his his emotional appearance is so muted and so out of touch with what he's talking about. He does not, seem like a well man. And, I haven't been practicing medicine for some years now, but, having had family members who succumbed to Alzheimer's disease and related modes of cognitive decline, Parkinson's, you can't get to be my age with my color hair and not have witnessed a lot of this going on, especially in our parents' generation. This is a very common illness, and it's.
Do you think there's signs that he might have early Alzheimer's or one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's little about him that seems well. And, you can never say from a distance what a cognitive problem is about, and whether it's a symptom of something else or whether it's the primary driver, but just broad brushstroke, yeah, he sure looks like he's having issues of cognitive decline and has for quite some time.
And of course, the White House has covered this up repeatedly. Here's Jeff Van Drew.
Let me put those. According to another New York Times poll, there is vast concern in this country about the president's age. Let me put those numbers on the screen for you. Among all voters, 71% say that this president is simply too old to be effective. And even among his own supporters, this is the astounding number to me, 54% of Biden's supporters say he's too old to be effective. Ageism is not really a factor here. It's just kind of staring everybody in the face.
Okay, now here's Jeff Van Drew. My apologies.
It's not just the age. You can be a certain age and be sharp and, very able. It's a cognitive disability that this president has. Obviously, he's been affected. Obviously, there's something going on with his health. He barely sometimes can string two sentences together. He has a pause where he completely forgets what he was speaking about. I don't want to be mean-spirited, but my God, everybody around the world sees this. Our enemies see it. Iran sees it. Russia sees it. China sees it. John, all the things that are happening around the world are happening because they perceive our president and the administration and our country, unfortunately, as being weak. It all started with Afghanistan when he left the way he did and left all our equipment and Afghan nationals and Americans there. Then it continued. President Putin made a lot of noise before he went into Ukraine. When that happened in the last administration, President Trump made it clear to Putin that if he went in, there'd be held to pay. Biden really didn't do anything. So, of course, Putin went in, and now this administration has us involved in a surrogate war. All of these things happen. Look what happened in Iran. We not only loosened up the $6 billion, that's nothing compared to the money that they brought in when we removed the sanctions that were in place. And when I say we, not us, I say this president and his administration. What a mistake. What a sign of weakness. What do you think's going to happen?
So all this from Biden's weakness, I mean, who can ever forget this moment? He fell off the bike in front of all the cameras. I mean, falling up the stairs. Remember that? It's bad. Tom Fitton posting this. Biden gang discussing use of a disabled Biden to issue legally dubious preemptive pardons for corrupt staff, Fauci, and others who they worry might be held accountable by real Donald Trump. Everyone's asking these questions. Remember when they said that Biden wasn't even cognitively able to stand trial? He's just an old man. He's a well-meaning old man. He can't stand trial for those documents, right? The ones next to his Corvette in the garage, he can't stand trial for that, but we can go after Donald Trump all day long. So he's not competent to stand trial, but he certainly is competent to hand out all these pardons. I mean, who's putting all these pardons in front of his face? Right? They're just putting stuff in front of him. Sign here, sign here, sign here. Huh. Tom Fitton had this to say: Joe Biden, who is cognitively disabled, obviously let Hunter's lawyers control the writing of the pardon documents. There still needs to be a real investigation in the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office actions before Weiss was appointed special counsel, but I'm glad Leo Weiss, Derek Hines, who were brought in to clean the house. Kyle Becker, we'll get to that in a moment. Oh, here's Kamala Harris. I'm gonna get to the James O'Keefe bombshell because it's oh my God, these people are so stupid, man. Getting honeypotted. Kamala Harris telling donors the $1.5 billion she raised made her campaign stronger.
As a result of your leadership and your support, the National Finance Committee held more than 700 events across the country and raised nearly $700 million. An historic achievement, which without a doubt made our campaign stronger. As a result,
yeah, and of course you did lose your campaign. And Biden says they ran a campaign that was scandal-free.
It's hard to do. We've run a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics these days.
Well, the real scandal is Biden's cognitive decline. I'm going to get to this Stephen Smith's statement about basically getting red-pilled about January 6th. We're going to get that in a second. This is actually pretty interesting, what he says here. But more importantly, I really want to get to James O'Keefe's freaking bombshell. Shocking undercover video. Okay, sorry for the long setup, but this is it. Joe Biden is dead. National Security Council advisor inside the White House details Biden can't say a sentence.
Well, here's the tea. Joe Biden is like dead. He can't say a sentence. He's like really progressed in his old age. Everybody recognized. I can't believe it wasn't a bigger scandal. He'll be dead in a year.
Meet Henry Appel, an advisor for the National Security Council. Henry Appel shared that President Biden had called the NSC White House phone while on a foreign trip looking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told the president that, in fact, Mr. Sullivan was not at the White House, but on the same foreign trip as President Biden.
My boss was on an international trip with him, like Europe or something. The phone rang in the office, and I was like, "Oh, Mr. President, Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" He's like, "No, he's traveling with you. He's on the same trip that you are."
In another encounter with President Biden, Henry Appel from the National Security Council revealed a phone call exchange. On the call, Biden was asking for NSC advisor Jake Sullivan. Henry told Biden that Sullivan had left the office for the day. Biden stated he would call Sullivan's personal phone. Instead, Biden called the same office 10 seconds later, asking for Sullivan again.
A couple weeks ago, I was like the last one in the office. He gave me a call from my boss. And so I picked the phone and said, "Hello, Mr. President, it's Henry on Jake's phone. He's left for the day, but I can try to get him on the line for you." And he asked me some questions, and I was like, "I don't know, let me get the track him down. So enough to call his Secret Service detail." It's like, I'll try his unclassified phone. Then 10 seconds later, the same phone. I picked it up again. I was like, "Hi again, it's Henry." He was like, "Is Jake there?" And I was like, "No, you called the same office."
Henry Appel stated that President Biden did not understand basic words in meetings at the White House.
Another time my boss went in to brief him, I had written the talking points. I said, "Oh, this is a novel phenomenon or something. It's new. It hasn't been done before." My boss said it. I was just novel? What do you mean, a book? What do you mean novel? The two meanings of the word novel, he lost them.
Henry even goes on to say, on his dating profile, his greatest strength is, quote, oversharing on the first date. You can't make this shit up. Henry Appel states that we, referring to his team at the National Security Council, were crying the night of Trump's victory, claiming they are all, quote, trauma bonded.
So everybody's probably like just drawn right? What?
No, wait, it's like drawn us closer to each other because like we're all going through it together. You know?
We shared trauma.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Trauma bond.
We're trauma bonded. Yeah.
Right. What was it like when you guys found out?
There were a lot of tears the next morning. Sure. It's like, I gotta find a new job.
Then Henry Appel shares to our undercover journalist, White House officials and national security officials are concerned about the incoming Trump administration coming after them for things they may have done wrong.
We're also like concerned about like them coming after us. They'd like investigate us or whatever.
James O'Keefe. Oh, and in true James O'Keefe, To Catch a Predator fashion, had this.
And he's sharing secrets and spilling tea to a stranger in a restaurant. Henry even goes on to say that on his dating profile, his greatest strength... I gotta ask you a question. What? I went on to mention that by...
Just like
In the last meeting with Henry Appel, Henry showed up to the restaurant, but he didn't find his date. He found me outside of the restaurant waiting for him. Here's part of that conversation. Hi. Henry? Henry Appel? National Security Council. Hi. I gotta ask you a question. What the hell is the guy who's an advisor to the National Security Council doing spilling the quote tea to an undercover journalist? Stay tuned for that full interaction with Henry to see how he responded. And if you're on the inside of the White House or any government institution and notice corruption or lies hidden from public view that you want us to disclose to the American people, please email us tips@o'keefemediagroup.com or text us at this phone number here, 914-491-9395, and our journalism team will get back to you. Thank you, and stay tuned.
All right, James, we're staying tuned. I'm going to check your profile right now. Did you post it? Did you post it? Come on. Come on, what did you post? 4 hours ago, we have a dance-off. Leo Terrell, Sean Hannity reposting it. Libs of TikTok reposting it. RT reposting it. InfoWars, Gateway Pundit, everyone. Oh, boy. Come on. Miss Mary, Benny Johnson, everybody. Oh, come on. Where is it? I want to see him confront him. I guess we're going to have to just wait and see. But I did want to play this because I felt that this is very important. That, because we've been deceived. We have been lied to about Biden's health. And this ties into all the deception. And all that deception is now seeping into, prominent members of the left in the Democrat Party. And, that January 6th report came out and said that there were, in fact, FBI agents. I believe they said 24 assets in the crowd on January 6th. And Democrats who have been saying, oh, there's never been a problem. No. It was all an insurrection. Well, now they know the truth. And they are turning on the Democrat Party. Let's listen to this. This is Stephen A. Smith. He says, I'm really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented.
Articulated. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, for those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago. End quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence
Oh, wow.
to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department.
Wow. Did you just hear that? That is just one person, and he reaches a lot of people. The dam is breaking. The wall is crumbling. Everything that we've been talking about always gets proven true. For months and months and months, we've been talking about the decline. The media has been lying to us. Scandal-free, right? You got an insider, James O'Keefe, honeypots another, and you hear it from their own mouth while they're trying to woo a woman over a glass of wine. The implications, my friends, are staggering. If a National Security Council advisor is openly admitting that Biden can't function, who's running the country? Who? And here's the question that should terrify every American. How many critical national security decisions have been made while Biden was completely incapacitated? Comment below. And you can make a statement with our new Mega Avengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Yes, patriots who understand the importance of mental acuity, they're snatching these up. And of course, you can take on the biggest cover-up in presidential history. These designs aren't just clothing, they are a conversation starter about the crisis in our White House. Grab one.